Hello, this is Smooth Operator, and I'm your host, Pat Reddick. Earlier today, I was joined by author Dick Bourgeois-Doyle, who's recently released a book titled What's So Funny? The book is a review of every single book that's ever won the Leacock Medal for Humor Writing in Canada, which is 67 in total. I was actually really eager to speak with Dick because this book has such a huge Peterborough connection to it. The very first book that won the prize was Ojibwe Melody, which is by Tom Simon's father. Tom Simons is, of course, the founding president of Trent University. Now, as it turns out, this book is more than just a simple family connection. It was highly influential to Professor Simons and, in turn, influenced Trent University in a number of ways. Robertson Davies is another winner of the medal. He won in 1955 while editing the Peterborough Examiner. On top of all this, Dick was in town to chair a panel at the Contesting Canada's Future Conference, which is actually still taking place at Trent University right now. Earlier today, he was signing books up at Chapters on Lansdowne from about 12 to 2, but before he did that, he dropped into Trent Radio, and here is our conversation in full. I won't be coming back in, so Dick and I are going to sign us off, and then you can listen to Freestyle Lewis with Pat Lewis. So, here is my interview with Dick Bourgeois-Doyle. Okay, I'm here with Dick Bourgeois-Doyle. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
No problem. So, your book, What's So Funny, is a review of each book that's ever won the Leacock Medal for Humor Writing in Canada. And this puts you in a unique position, in my opinion. What are the chances that you think your book is going to win the Leacock Medal?
Well, probably zero, and because actually it was suggested to me that I might enter it, but and I don't know whether I'm rationalizing the avoidance of defeat or not, but because I'm reviewing and critiquing the Leacock medalists, I think that probably be better for my book to be positioned just outside of it. And I enjoy a lot of the Leacock Medal stardust just by the use of the name and the support of the Leacock Associates. So I don't know if I go so far as to be a conflict of interest, and I may change my mind down the road, but right now I don't intend on entering it. So back to the original answer, zero or less.
Fair enough. Yeah, in the introduction to the book, you write that after reading and reflecting on each of the Leacock Medal winning books, old memories haunt you more than you'd realized, and you'd learned that you had a different hometown than you'd thought. You now see sad thoughts as the seeds of funny ones, and you get up every morning looking differently at the place where you live. This paragraph really struck me, and before I tell you why, I was wondering if you could expand upon it a little bit more.
Well, so this is, I really... there's many things I was trying to accomplish, and I don't know, maybe too many. But one of the things that people say about humor writing, independent of technique and subject matter and the context in that, is how personal it is. So one of the things I tried to do is, maybe somewhat pretentiously is to illuminate that idea by saying what my blink was when I read something funny that struck me funny. And I was surprised at how many times, and if you read the book, the little intro is talking about my parents passing away or other different kinds of challenging points in my life that came to mind. And that was kind of interesting to me. The things that were making me laugh were rooted in things that it would be, at least on the surface, something sad. I guess the most kind of vivid example of that would be the book Practical Gene. It's one of the more recent winners, and it was about this woman who witnessed her mother's really horrible cancer death, and she resolves, it was written just about 3 years ago, and she resolves to head out and prophylactically kill her friends off before they experience horrible deaths.
Oh, geez.
Right? Anyways, that brought to my mind my own dad's death and how he lingered. And actually, he was in the Lindsay Hospital there quite a bit. And I should have mentioned it's Trevor Cole is the author of Practical Gene, and it won in I think 2011. Yeah. So, anyways, that was not one of the more chuckle-filled episodes of my life, but somehow I could laugh at Practical Gene because of the resonance with watching my own father pass away, and that might be a bit more dramatic than most of them, but that's the kind of thing I was thinking about when I said that thing about and old memories and funny things that come back, and I do believe that the things that we laugh at some level are really rooted in our experiences and our own personal things. The thing about the hometown was I live in Ottawa, and I'm a federal bureaucrat, but I think somewhat arrogantly I've strutted around for over the years saying, well, I'm not really from this government town. I consider myself from Bob Cajun. I was born in Oshawa, and I spent Port Perry was my early years, but my family's all Bob Cajun Kawarthas, so I have, that's my Trent cred. And anyways, and I lived in British Columbia for about 10 years before I came back to Ottawa. Anyhow, as I look through all these books, and I'm doing this kind of personal analysis, this is not the substance of the book, but it's sprinkled over it. I realized that, Ottawa is my hometown now. And I actually, during the course of reading all these books, I passed a sort of a date milestone where now I've actually lived most of my life in Ottawa.
Oh, wow.
More than 50% of it. So Ottawa is my hometown, which was kind of chilling and uplifting at the same time.
That's really interesting.
And getting up each morning now, I look at Ottawa a little differently, and it's a pretty cool place. And I'm actually quite a booster of Ottawa from many plateaus now.
Cool. Yeah, I was. So
that's the kind of thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about.
So it changes you when you think that way.
Yeah.
You read all books have the potential to change you, but if you're kind of nerdy and like me, and you think it through too much, it has that real threat.
Cool. I'm actually glad that you answered that question in that way, because it sort of connects with another question that I wanted to ask. So in all of the reviews and press material and stuff that I've read about the book, it's usually described in terms of like it's a book of reviews, it's literary criticism, something like that. But I wonder if there's not also maybe just a peppering of memoir to it as well. So
actually, if you do read through the book, you can, and I don't know who the first person, I think it might have been my wife or my daughter or something, that made the observation that, like if you took out all the stuff about the books, you've got your the outline of your memoir there, because, there are different, we have 67 books there, so I guess the odds of them touching upon different kinds of milestones in your life, I wish I could think of more examples. Well, some of the examples are just directly related to the experience of reading the book. There's Eric Nichol. I was just opening the book here now, and I saw Eric Nichol. He was a columnist with the Vancouver Province, but he wrote dozens of humor books, and he won this award 3 times. And when I lived in Vancouver, he was one of the bright spots in my week. And I think his column appeared 3 times a week, and the days that it appeared, that's the way I'd start my day, and the day was a little brighter. And of course, intertwined with, and he loved Vancouver, by the way, and so intertwined with all those stories were the episode or the portion of my life that I spent in Vancouver and British Columbia. So naturally, I had those kind of touchstones and references when I was musing over his love of Vancouver and his very British Columbia oriented experience. There's actually a few more books in there that relate, just to use British Columbia as my, I spent 10 years there. And I actually, one of the books is written by Mark Laren Young. He's more known as a playwright and a comic now, but he spent a period as a beat reporter with the weekly newspaper in Williams Lake, the Tribune, and that's what his book's about, is the kind of quirky experiences you have on a local weekly newspaper. And I actually lived in Williams Lake around the same time as him, and so it is a kind of memoir, and I never set out to do it with that objective, and if I thought it would go into the annals of history as my memoir, I might have been more careful on some of the stuff. But it's kind of weird. Yeah. Okay. Now you got me thinking about this. And in 1959, they did not award a Leacock Medal, and officially, I think in the papers at the time it said it's because there was not a worthy entrant. And I'm not 100% sure that's the whole story, because it was the whole thing was in transition at that time. But anyways, I use that as a touchstone to say that I should have won the award in 1959 on the basis of my kindergarten report card, which was pretty funny. If you have a few choice quotes from the teacher there that come up as humor. But anyways, yeah, that is sort of a window on my childhood.
Awesome. Can you quote any of your report card for us now?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we keep talking here, and I'll try and find that page.
Yeah.
Because now fortunately, the book, of course, is in dates, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and
it's nice to.
So just this section here. It rated me as acceptable in punctuality and personal cleanliness. Those are things that you can't underestimate. But a long string of Fs, including cooperates with his teacher, muscular coordination, things that have been a feature of my whole life. And then concludes that Richard's lack in cooperation is due mainly to his lack in attention. His little mind seems completely occupied with his own ideas. And my boss read that and said it could be my last week's evaluation.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Yeah, maybe it is a memoir.
I was going to say, geez, now I feel bad for asking the memoir question. Oh, well.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, the humor part of that. Oh, I'm sorry to go off on that tangent, but the humor part was. So I got that report card, and I was like 5 years old. It was kindergarten, and I don't know where I must have been practicing my ability to write at that time by forged my mother's signature to return it to the school.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that came back to haunt me, because you had to have a signature that showed your parents had seen it.
Yeah.
So you had this little kid's signature. And,
Oh man, I've seen pictures like that on the internet. So I wonder if you were a precedent center there.
Oh yeah, maybe forgery.
Yeah, now everyone's
counterfeiting career. Yeah.
That's right. So there is a large Peterborough element to this book. Specifically, the first chapter actually is about Harry Simon's book, Ojibwe Melodies, and of course, people might recognize the Simons name from Tom Simons, who was the founder one of the founders of Trent University. Could you talk a little bit about that? Yeah,
definitely. It's really quite important to me personally in a way, because of the impact it had on this book. So I set out to read all the Leacock Medal books, trying to up my game a bit as a writer. I've written biographies and histories in the past, but I wanted to try to add another dimension to it. So I thought if I read all these humor books and I review them with the intent of trying to extract a humor writing lesson from each, and to learn a little bit about the context and the writers and that. I also blog parodies of the books to try and ingrain the style. But anyways, there wasn't a heck of a lot about the first winner, which was Ojibwe Melody, 1947 winner, the very first Leacock Medal winner. Leacock had died about 3 years before, and they set this up as a memorial in his honor. Couldn't find a lot, and it's surprising, because there's a lot about everybody on the internet. But it turned out that Trent University Archives had the original manuscript of Ojibwe Melody and a bunch of biographical information about Harry Simons. So I tried to get it, and they said, no, it's the family collection, and it's private, but you can make application to have access to it. So I filled out the forms, sent them off to Trent. And then one day I got a phone call at work, and the voice on the other end was, "Hello, Mr. Bourgeois-Doyle. This is Tom Simons, and happy to help in any way." Very gracious man, of course. And he invited my wife and I to come to Peterborough and meet with him and his wife, Christine. And that was, I think, in maybe late 2012, but around March 2013, we came here. Now I'm kind of embarrassed. I didn't know the home that I was entering was Marchbank's house at the time, and that it was Robertson Davies' home. But quickly in the conversation that came up, and of course Davies is a winner of the Leacock Medal. He wrote his Leacock Medal writing book, or his 1959 Love and a Malice was written in Marchbank's house here in Peterborough while he was with the Examiner. So there's another Peterborough strong link there. Anyways, Professor Simons sat me down, started telling me stories, and of course, because of his experience, he knew all these people,